Paula Llewellyn. Now, we did talk about Paula Llewellyn last year, and that had to do with the fact that her department, which is the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution in Jamaica, were looking at, I think, dealing with a case with Vibes Cartel. Suffice to say, that's where we have some little bit of introduction about her. Um, she is leaving her post after 40 some year decades in the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. The interesting to note about it is that she was the first woman to be in the position. Um, Her tenure was a good tenure. It had a lot to do with a lot of controversial cases, such as the Christopher Dudas Coke extradition. There's a Trafalgar matter, and there was the Vibes Cartel matter. Now, in her tenure as the DPP, she is noted for saying that her team isn't about winning cases, but rather succeeding cases. And what a lot of people do not know about the Director of Public Prosecution is they have unprecedented levels of um, ability to prosecute cases. Even more so, they prosecute their own cases despite the complexity that comes along with these cases. And this is what has been said with DPP, outgoing DPP, Paula Llewellyn, KC. Now, the important thing to note about her, other than her being a woman, she opened up her department to digitalization, because that is something she mentioned, that her office is working on digitizing records. The office was also looking at increasing its capacity, where I think when she came on it was around somewhere between 20 to 30, whereas now it has the capacity to have 70 prosecutors, and it was mentioned that it would be the largest in the Caribbean. Jamaica has a lot of cases. They're not short of any cases, but more interestingly, their cases tend to be complex due to the nature of the matters that happened. In DPP Paula Llewellyn's interview with Dion Jackson Miller, who is also a lawyer, what you can sometimes see with DPP Llewellyn is that she's not afraid of criticism, and she's not afraid to clarify misconceptions that is out there. So in her bolstering the department to its capacity, she also created, I guess, press releases of cases and of matters um that would be for the public to be interested in, or if the public was interested in. But it also brought scrutiny, because in the period and time that Llewellyn served, there were, in certain instances, higher public scrutiny. You have social media blogs, you have internet sensationists, and they tend to have opinions on what should happen, but it doesn't mean that they are learned individuals in the practice of law. And I think that is something that DPP Llewellyn always gave attention to, is that when you're dealing with certain cases and it has DNA or there's circumstantial evidence, but when the police, for most people who don't know, when the police creates its file and its report and gets the statements from individuals, there's a process. So the DPP has to go through all of that statements, information, put it together, create a file. Are we going to go with it? Are we not going to go with it? And to topple it off, most of the times the DPP is not open to judicial review, because that is something that the courts tend to not go in too much when it comes to the DPP, because it can create a precedent of either lack of distrust or just trying to say that, oh, it's lacking in work, if that's the best example to give. But DPP Llewellyn has been heading up the old DPP for over 17 years, and that's, I think, I don't know if she's the longest serving DPP. I'm not sure, but I what I gather from DPP Llewellyn's reflection speech on the years that she's given, she has always maintained the attitude of being independent. So much to say that she doesn't put the prime minister's pictures up, or you know, politicians' pictures up, because there's a level of neutrality and confidence that, as a juror, well, as a jurist, um, or as a lawyer in the case, you, or as a DPP law prosecutor, you have to maintain the lines of integrity and not have it skewed. Because if you have it skewed, people will think that you're playing sides, you're not being independent, and that is something that she fought for, and she deliberately worked on. She presented on cases that, you know, she was junior at the time, and she mentioned Katie Knight being her senior, and even Katie Knight wanted her to join his practice as a lawyer, and she even did cases with the honorable Prime Minister, um, what's his name, PJ Patterson, and that goes to show the level and breadth of her experience and how it relates to, you know, building that legal career. So as much as people would like to say, well, she didn't do this right or didn't do that right, there will always be the case to say that something was not done right. But if at the end of the day you've given your fair shot as a prosecutor, and evaluating the facts, and you know, going to the court with an intended approach of looking at the facts and presenting the facts, I would say that, you know, she has done an excellent job. I know I was coming at her for the case with Vibes Cartel, but having, and I would say that really due to having read the case, having read the court file, and having read certain, I would say, gaps on how the trial for the Vibes Cartel case, um, and how certain things were, I wouldn't say left out, but how it was handled. That is why I would say my opinion on the matter was the way it was with her. But you know, you can't win every case, or rather, you can't succeed every case, even if you are presenting the facts. Does the facts represent the whole truth? Does it um, deter the process of how information is supposed to be dispensed? But suffice to say, I would say she's a phenomenal woman. She likes to use the coin phrase of having, you know, testicular fortitude, and she believes that it transcends regardless of gender roles, and for all intended purposes, she has broken a lot of glass ceilings, and I think she has set a precedent that, you know, there are some big shoes to be filled going forward. And she did say she's looking forward to retirement. Other people um, are suspecting that she will be going to the Governor General's office. Hope we will see if that transformed. Uh, the person who will be taking over, well, as acting DPP until someone is officially confirmed, is ADPP Claudette Thompson. She has been acting in the post when Llewellyn was out intermittently. Key takeaway is, I would say, when you're doing your job, do it to the best of your ability. despite, criticism, and your track record will always speak for itself. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next video.